still says there. It started. All right. Hey, guys. I clickbaited the shit out of the title because it says SHHRP Live, Mayweather McGregor fight. And that way people that just finished watching the boxing match might hop over here and click on it.
You tagged onto their tag?
It's a big deal right now.
Oh, big deal. Big deal.
Yeah,
big deal.
just
yeah. And everybody's drunk watching the fight.
Right. It just ended. I don't know spoilers, but something tells me that the boxer won because the UFC fighter is not a boxer. So a lot of people think strength and maybe speed would equal a win, but I think technique and experience will beat just sheer brute strength any day of the week. And that's exactly what happened. And everybody told me I was wrong. So I'm going to have a lot of... Go ahead.
Did you gamble on it?
I wish, because everybody at work told me I was an idiot for thinking that Mayweather would win. And I'm not into boxing.
Dude, he did win.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But everybody thought I was an idiot for thinking that McGregor would lose. I'm like, there's no way. This guy's an MMA fighter. All it's going to take is Mayweather to wear him out, let him throw his punches and act crazy until he's tired, and then Mayweather will come out and beat the shit out of him. That's exactly what happened. Like, I watched the whole thing, and that's exactly what it did. He blocked every punch for the first 8-9 rounds. I mean, McGregor definitely got some shots in there, but not good ones. And then he's like barely standing up anymore. He's not blocking anything. His arms are at his sides. And then Mayweather just says, I'm going to light this match, and just pop, 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 pop. The ref called the fight. He's like, you're going to kill him. It's over.
Shit.
So it was a good fight. I'm not into boxing, but it was actually pretty entertaining.
I'll have to watch it later.
All right, so here we go. We'll start the bumper in 3, 2. Welcome to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. I am your host. We are streaming to you live on youtube.com and all around the universe, directly into your ear holes. What are you laughing about? I am here. You are here. You are here. And we have trolled the world. We have clickbaited the shit out of you right now. We apologize, but we do not apologize because we are not above a desperate grab for viewership. So
sorry,
I am here. No, sorry, not sorry. I am here with my good friends, Chaz and Robinson. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
All right.
I was laughing because whenever I watch the Philip DeFranco show, he's always, hello, nation, welcome to just the same exact routine. And I just kind of mouth along with it. And that's what I was doing today.
This is true. Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you're having a fantastic Saturday. Welcome back to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. And let's just jump right into it. Did I get it?
Yeah, that's it.
There were some people complaining about him on the internet. Well, they complain about him all the time, but they were complaining because, you know, he has very little respect for his viewers because every show he calls them bastards. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
He calls them beautiful bastards.
Have you ever even watched his show?
Yeah.
Come on. Did you know? I actually realized something the other day. Speaking of the Philly D, the very first YouTube channel that I ever subscribed to was Philip DeFranco, like 11 years ago.
Me too. Same.
It was the very first subscribe button I ever clicked.
And I liked him because he reminded me of you. I can't put exactly like my finger on what it is, but something about him, something about his mannerisms or something just always reminded me of you. And I don't know.
I could only wish to someday be as cool as Philip DeFranco. I think we're about the same age. I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea. I just made that up. So, welcome to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. We are here on Saturday, the 26th of August, the year of our Lord 2017. There was just a big fight, and somebody won. If you didn't watch it because you were smart and you didn't spend $100 to watch a pay-per-view fight that they will literally replay all of the important and impressive parts on ESPN for free probably 20 minutes ago. So I hope it was $100 well spent. There were even some bars in my neck of the woods that were charging $20 a head for people to come in and watch this fight. It was a big deal. Both of these fighters made tens of millions of dollars to get the shit kicked out of them for a little while. And God bless them. I don't judge. I'll be honest, it's better than, you know, a football player who gets fat and stands in the grass for 16 games out of the entire year and gets paid $100 million. Like, I'm a fat guy. I'm going to stand here and look like a wall, and you're going to pay me tens of millions of dollars. But that's just my envy, I'm sure, because I'm not very athletic. So let's figure this out. So our new format, which isn't even all that new anymore, dictates that we discuss things briefly and then get the fuck out of here. So I brought up a topic. I'll start this time. Maybe give you guys an opportunity to decide what you're going to talk about.
I'll think of something.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. But so it just popped up in my feed the other day because I do a lot of research on drugs and drug abuse. And so things pop up and I see them and I read them. And a lot of them are just the same shit we talk about all the time. But this one was kind of interesting. And maybe the name of the drug interests me because the name of the drug coincides with what it does to your body. So the Spanish word for skinny is flaco, or a female, flaca. And this drug is called flaca. So it makes you skinny, kind of like meth. But I don't know how good it is at making you skinny because I don't think you can be on it for very long until you die.
Well, it's classified as an amphetamine.
I think you are correct. But it is also very similar to what we know and love, bath salts. If you remember a few years ago in Florida, there were all these cases of human zombies eating each other's faces under the overpass of the freeway and just losing their minds and killing themselves or ripping their guts out of their body. Crazy shit. Bath salts. Happy day. Flaca is not dissimilar in a lot of ways. It is an alpha PVP drug, which is a synthetic version of the stimulant known as cathinone. I think that's how you pronounce it. Chaz, you're smarter than me.
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right. Well, I'll spell it for you if you want to look it up. Cathinone. So cathinone. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but who cares? Cathinone comes from the khat plant, Khat.
Cathinone.
You pronounce Khat in a different way than khat.
Cathinone.
Cat, like meow. It's native to the Middle East and Somalia, and some of the ingredients are found in bath salts. But flaca is cheaper, and it is so cheap that they actually one of the street names is $5 Insanity. Which reminds me of that. Do you remember that woman late night infomercial, buzzed hair? I forget her name, but
Susan
she was
Powers?
Susan Powder. Yes. And it was stop the insanity.
Yeah.
Every time I hear the word insanity, I think of her. My brain is fucked. I don't know why. I think of a weird Sinead O'Connor looking bald woman selling self-help programs. So Flakka can be injected, it can be snorted, it can be smoked, or can be swallowed. Lovely. It runs the gamut. And according to the DEA, there were 670 cases of Flakka reported in 2014. That's the last data that I have. So 670 cases of use, if you will. And that was up from 0 in 2010 and only 85 in 2012. So if you kind of do the math, we're well into the thousands here a few years later. And most of the cases were coming from a similar area in South Florida. So I don't know if this is the Cubans' fault.
Was it Fort Lauderdale?
South Florida. So probably like maybe
Melbourne,
Melbourne. That's really far.
Broward County, wherever the hell that
so
is.
Broward County. Only reason anyone knows of Broward County is the 2000 election of George W. Bush, and Broward County basically being the reason that we ended up with President Bush. So Flakka is legally produced in China, and there are about 150 Chinese companies that sell this drug on the internet. Yay! So to trick the customs and border patrol and the agents that do the checking of things that come from China, so the customs agents, the packaging of Flakka, it looks like common household products like cleaners, shampoos,
Bath salts,
soaps, yeah, actual bath salts, Epsom salts. Soak your feet in Flakka. That's actually a really good slogan. Soak your feet in Flakka and get fucked.
get flocked.
Yes. So Flakka is cheaper than any other newly popular drug.
But it's even cheaper for the dealers to buy it. That has a really high profit margin.
I'm
So
sure
it's
that
$5
even
a
$5
hit?
for a hit. Yeah, $5
Wow.
a hit, and you got to think if the dealer is getting it for,
If a dealer spends $1,500, he can make about $50,000.
good Lord,
Yeah,
where do I get some Flakka?
I can get it for you,
Okay, cool.
but don't do it. Just sell it.
Yeah, no, of course, right? You got to remember that from the movies, right? You don't do the drugs that you sell, or else you end up. Well,
You don't get high on your own supply.
that's right, and a lot of people will start selling drugs because they want to offset the cost of their own addiction, and that never works out.
No.
It just doesn't. So, Flakka is cheaper than Molly, and you only need about $3 to $5 for a hit. So there are a couple of problems here. You never really know what you're getting. So some packages, they have meth or some heroin or maybe synthetic heroin, cocaine kind of mixed in. And the street drug is also packaged and sold to intentionally look like candy, or can be mixed into common candies. They found it in a bag of gummy bears. It was accidentally crushed up and rolled into the candy. Makes it, I guess, taste better. But imagine, a kid finding some gummy bears and being like, "Ooh, gummy bears," and then Flakka. That'd be bad.
So what is the actual name of it? I mean, what is the chemical?
It was up at the top. It's an alpha PVP, and it is known as, it's a version of cathinone.
Cathinone.
So it's derived from a plant, but this is a synthetic version of this cathinone. It can cause permanent brain damage.
But are we talking about? Hold on, this. Are we talking about side effects from overdoses, or? I mean,
no. We are just talking about using
just one-time use. You're going to have brain damage forever.
It depends on how much you take. So if you remember the guys doing bath salts in Florida a few years ago, these weren't people that were, addicted to bath salts. I don't even know that you can get addicted to doing something like that. But they were fucked up. And this was, most of them, the first time they'd ever done it. So it can cause permanent brain damage, kidney damage. Scientists have determined that flocka actually destroys neurons in your brain. It can cause hyperthermia, so overheating, which is especially difficult on your kidneys. Overdose survivors have had to remain on dialysis, sometimes for the rest of their lives, due to the damage that this shit can cause to your kidneys. So a high from the flocka is similar to that of cocaine, but it lasts way longer. And people may experience paranoia. They think they have superhuman strength. They can show violent behavior. Hyperthermia can be deadly. Some cases of flocka users have had body temperatures upwards of 105 degrees Fahrenheit or higher that have been reported.
Right.
Say it again.
That's permanent brain damage right there.
And kidney damage.
Yeah.
That's gnarly. But because it is so cheap, it is often marketed to homeless addicts as a cheap alternative to cocaine. Lovely, right? Oh, you're a crackhead and you're homeless and you beg for change, and the crack rock is double the cost of the flocka, and the flocka lasts 5 times longer. You get your high for much longer. So why wouldn't you want to try that at least once? And holy shit. I mean, the exact dose is hard to control. So there's huge margins of error when it comes to people using it. And even a mild overdose of flocka can result in serious heart problems, psychosis, severe aggression, like the zombie outbreak that we saw in Florida. Different drug, that was bath salts, but similar compounds, so probably similar effects. Flocka dealers can evade the DEA by labeling flocka with a not for human consumption label and selling it as these common household products.
Or they sell it as a collector's item.
Right. Not for human consumption. This is a novelty item.
Yeah.
So it's like, it has a label on it that it won't be consumed by people. Therefore, that's okay.
Yeah.
And
the honor system.
Are all the same names as like different strains of marijuana.
And I liken it to the pack of cigarettes that says Surgeon General says this will kill you. So we're good. We're in the clear.
Yeah.
So, ow. Jesus Christ. That is sharp. There's a very sharp thing on my thing. And it poked me. Ow. So everybody's familiar with the fight or flight response in the body.
Yep.
So the fight or flight response that is triggered by the use of flocka can sometimes result in superhuman strength, and they've seen it take 5 or 6 well-trained police officers to restrain an individual high on flocka. Like PCP, exactly. To counteract the effects of flocka, officers have tried to inject a sedative like Ativan or other benzos before it's too late. If they can't inject it, the individual has a high chance of death with an overdose situation. And remember, overdose is very common because nobody knows how the fuck much Flocka to take or how much they have even taken in a lot of cases, because the potency is different from one chunk to another chunk, and they could be exactly the same size, and one could be 10 times as strong.
Wow.
Researchers looking into the Flocka effect, that's going to be the name of my next band. They believe the drug to be even stronger than meth and cocaine, or even meth cocaine combined. So people aren't really sure where the name Flocka came from. I told you where I think it came from. The name could come from the Spanish word flaca, which means skinny, and because it might relate to the appetite suppressing quality of the drug. Hey, I said this before. Thank you, article. I'm smarter than you. Or the name could have something to do with the colloquial Hispanic word that means a beautiful, elegant woman who charms all who she meets. And I say, not so much. That really hurt. It stabbed
Think about
me.
the name heroin.
Good point. Is that your vape, Robinson? Do you have a vape?
Yes, I do.
Nice. Did you stop smoking yet?
Nope. I did for about 3 weeks, and then as soon as I got back to the U.S., I started again, and I only smoke this when I can't leave the house, because I have to smoke outside now, because my new housemates don't like smoking. So for the show, I smoke this.
I love it.
So
That's a whole nother show I think we should do again on some of the new research around PGVG and the chemicals inside of the vape situation, because it's actually really interesting. So anyway, there's rumors that the drug's name may have something to do with the hip-hop artist Waka Flocka Flame, that maybe he popularized it amongst his posse, but nobody knows for sure. And I've never heard of that motherfucker, so we'll say it's true.
no, this don't give him any credit.
Nah, yeah, well, I'd like to give him credit for that, just because he's got a really lame sounding name, which reminds me of one of the Muppets.
Waka,
Waka Waka Waka.
Fuzzy Bear.
Fozzie Bear. He's the man. So comparing the price of Flocka to meth, Flocka costs around $150 for an eighth of an ounce. The same amount of moderately mid-range quality meth is going to put you at about $450. So that's a significant difference in price. Now, meth tends to last like in your system for a long time. So I don't know, maybe the Flocka lasts just as long, maybe not as long, maybe you don't need as much, I don't know, but that's a pretty significant price difference. And Flocka use is predominantly
the correct cost for meth.
$450 an eighth.
Yeah, that's not right.
You think that's too high?
Way too high.
Okay.
It's closer to 150.
Ooh, so maybe Flocka's only like 50. I don't know. I guess it depends. If it's like the Blue Heisenberg shit, you're paying a premium. Flocka is used predominantly amongst low income, all genders, all racial backgrounds, but poor, homeless, low income, but it doesn't discriminate. And people may also be vaping Flocka, especially teenagers. And this is a preferred method because there's no odor given off while you're vaping the Flocka. And that maybe if you mix it in with some, right here I got my Rice Krispie Kreme, my own personal blend of juice. It is part Rice Krispie Treat and part sweet cream, so I called it Rice Krispie Kreme. And it is quite delicious. It is not available for you or anyone else because I make it myself. Well, not really. I mix it myself at the vape place. So vaping Flocka allows the drug to enter the bloodstream very directly making overdose even more likely, and therefore making death also more likely. Flocka first appeared shipped from China in Florida, and it has made an appearance in Texas, Ohio, Alabama, Mississippi, New Jersey, Michigan, New York, and this list is a little bit outdated, so I would imagine it's gone even further than that. But the fact that it can be disguised and brought through customs, I mean, we're talking the dogs don't even smell it at this point. This is something that could get worse before it gets better. And it's not like crocodile.
There's an open market here in California.
Is there?
Maybe.
That's terrible, Robinson.
I need money. I need to get back to Southeast Asia.
Well, the next time that you go have a stop in China, you should, find out how to say flocka in Chinese Mandarin. Please don't do that. That'd be bad.
No, that would be very bad.
Yeah, it would be bad.
Do you think people just take this stuff and get all fucked up because they just don't know about what it can cause?
Well, I think that's the same as crocodile. I think people take the crocodile for the first time, and then it's got that sort of fucked up speedball effect, and they're like, ooh, that really fucking hurt going into my arm, but shit, am I high? So then they do it again, and then all of a sudden their limbs are falling off. And Flocka, maybe a similar kind of thing. Hey, I got pretty high, it was pretty cheap, and I didn't die, so let's do it again. Hey, I don't know. I think inexpensive drugs are the scariest because you're dealing with a cheap high, and a cheap high is almost always a preferable high. It's kind of scary.
I wonder if this is the same stuff that was going around in South Africa that they never had a name for.
Ooh, I don't know.
Like about a year ago.
A year or so ago?
Yeah.
Huh.
How would you get it if there was no name for it?
Give me the shit, bro.
It was same MO. It does the same thing. It's targeted to people who have no money, people who are homeless, and will do anything to get high on anything they can get a hold of. I don't remember what they were calling it, but they were calling it like cheap. Oh, what the fuck? I can't remember now.
Well, there was also this going around like high schools in the Midwest that was basically like a super heroin that one teeny tiny dose of this shit was killing kids. And because they found out that it was some crazy fentanyl laced something that was dirt cheap. You could get a hit of this shit for like $3 or $4, and it was enough to kill, a medium-sized teenager, especially if it was your first time and you didn't have the tolerances built up. So I think that's the scary part is, at least with cocaine, you kind of know, all right, even if this was like straight Pablo Escobar, the best Colombian shit ever, this is about how much I'm going to do and be okay. And if it's weak, cut, stepped on bullshit, I'm going to do a little more. With heroin, it's definitely tricky because there are very different kind of strengths of street level heroin that can be scary. But it's hard to say. So that's Flocka. That's my story. I hope you enjoyed it.
What do you got, Chaz?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nah.
Oh my God. You
I know.
motherfuckers, you know the new format. It's not news. And now here I am sitting on my Flocka ass waiting for someone to
Dude,
share something with
If you
me.
think about it, you did an awesome show, man. You did a
Oh,
great show.
thanks.
You really did. I couldn't possibly top that.
Nah,
Oh, Lord.
nah,
Then
yeah.
I should never go first again. I did, however, want to mention that Well, no, I don't know that I want to mention that yet. Maybe I will.
Waiting.
Yeah, no. The so the podcast. Let's talk about that for a minute because the podcast has it's become a bit of a challenge, so to speak, and some of the episodes, some of the more recent episodes, apparently there was some issues. That's why I had to update my audio box. There were some issues with the recordings of maybe the most recent 5 to 6 shows. So going through and trying to retranscode old shows to bring them up to a hosting service to get the podcast back up ran into some trouble. And so I'm currently trying to work through some of the obstacles that have presented themselves with regards to trying my best to find a clean way to extract the audio from the YouTube feeds. I've tried a couple different ways. It doesn't work very well. The audio quality is bad. So I'm trying to find the best way to extract audio from YouTube. If anybody listening or watching knows of a good method to extract audio from YouTube without having to play the entire show in real time to record, because that is a method. I could basically play the show and record the audio, but fuck if that would not take a very long time. As opposed to
why don't you just have a separate recording device for the show that we're doing as we're doing it? So
I do.
You do.
It just wasn't working right for the last handful of episodes, and I had no podcast to post, so I wasn't hearing it. So
that was the Yamaha device, or no?
Say what?
Was that the Yamaha device that you had?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So there was just something weird, and so I'm working it out. I know that I said that the podcast would be up this month, but I don't think that's going to happen at this point because the end of the month is only a few days away. So I've learned better than to give myself deadlines moving forward. I'll just say, hey, it'll be there when it's there, motherfucker. So learn some patience. And we thank everybody for their patience. And hopefully when we get things back up and running, we can kind of throw out the new podcast and get some of our old listeners back, because they're going to have to resubscribe. That's the biggest problem, is that everyone subscribed before, unless I can find a magic way to make this happen, will more than likely have to subscribe to the new feed. So that is also something that I am working to try and avoid, so that all of our thousands of existing subscribers won't have to resubscribe and will just magically start getting episodes again. And if I am able to accomplish that, the only downside is that they will literally wake up one morning and every single one of our episodes will have re-downloaded to their device from the very beginning, which, hey, whatever, that's good for us, but not probably good for the storage capacity of their smartphone. But they'll be all right. They wake up in the morning saying, hey, your phone used 7 million gigabytes of data. Sorry. So we're trying to work out all those little details. It's very technical and quite the pain in the ass. So, but we do it because we love you and we want to continue to service you as best we can.
Speaking of that, you know how I like to take problems here, problem there, slam them together, makes a solution.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who she's a trimmer, and she's a good trimmer. And the problem that she was telling me about was that the growers, when it comes time to trim, finding reliable trimmers is a problem. And they end up hiring a bunch of girls who are like tweakers or junkies, and they don't do a great job, and they sometimes steal the product. And it's like, you know, where do you find honest, reliable people that you don't have to pay $5,000 or $6,000 a month to do something that's like sitting around just like with scissors. It's like really menial work.
Sure.
Because of the nature of the industry, it's just really, it's what you pay. And at the same time, I hear on the news that the U.S. government is allowing B-1 visas for domestic workers in the Philippines to come to the U.S. And one of the categories for a domestic worker is gardening.
Huh.
So, hey, I think I have a solution here. I can like line up a bunch of girls who want to come to be domestic workers and offer them $500 a month, which is a fuck ton of money for someone in the Philippines. Like, oh my God, 500? Are you sure? You don't mean like 50?
There's an extra zero in there somewhere, mister.
So, and then it's like, okay, get them together, send them out. Maybe there's a little training required, but hey, they're saving a lot of money. The growers are saving a lot of money. They're getting people that are honest, who aren't they're going to be afraid to do anything wrong because they'll get exported.
Hardworking.
They're hardworking, and they'll go the extra mile.
I'm not sure they get exported, Robinson. I think you mean deported.
Deported. Yeah, that's what I meant.
The export. I mean, in some places, wouldn't they call this human trafficking?
No, they're coming into work.
You can call it whatever you want.
There you go, Chaz. Call it whatever you want. Whatever makes you sleep well at night.
But I mean, they are humans, and there is traffic involved.
Yep. Hey, my day labor is your slave labor. All right. I don't know. My dad used to hire Mexicans from the Home Depot to do all kinds of interesting things, from cut the trees and lay tile to when my grandmother had her 75th birthday. He hired a day laborer from Home Depot and went to the tux rental place, got him a tuxedo so that he could be the waiter at my grandmother's 75th birthday party.
Awesome.
Day labor. There you go.
$10
Yep, $10 an hour, and he was walking around with silver trays of hors d'oeuvres and champagne, and then slept on my couch. I think I was like 8 years old, maybe 10 years old.
I bet he was fascinated by that job.
Oh yeah, and then we couldn't get him back to the Home Depot before closing time like they normally do, so he had to sleep on my couch, and my dad had to take him back to Home Depot in the morning.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, the guy made more that night than he probably did any other day, and did not have to do 1/10 of the amount of work. So he loved it. He told my dad, he's like, hey, you ever have any more parties? Come find me. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for day laborers just trying to make a buck. And, how is that different from busking? Somebody that plays music in the subway or yes, I'm not making minimum wage perhaps, but some days I might even make more than minimum wage. But I also know that I need to provide for my family, and I'd rather not steal from people. So you need some work done around your house, and this is my going rate, so pay me that. And maybe sometimes I get stiffed and I don't get paid anything, and it was a shitty day. But those people are pieces of shit. I don't know. I think it's a strange world, and if there weren't such a demand for it, then it wouldn't exist. So I don't know. I found out the other day that my gardener is being deported. So that kind of sucks because he's pretty good. But he's here on an expired visa or something. Anyway, we kind of got off topic, but I hope you find your human traffickers, Robinson. I think that would be a lot of fun. And then you could export them over to my house. And because I need some yard work done.
You need a gardener? I can get you a gardener and a housekeeper and a nanny and like somebody who can do everything for you for very cheap.
I had one of those. He turned out to be an alcoholic, and
he was cool.
Yeah, he was all right, but he was weird, and he's still very weird. And it turned out to be a problem because his drinking got worse and worse and worse. And you know what? One of these days, I will tell that story on this show because it's a sad story of just a very lost soul, like a guy with a big heart who just he will never get his life together if he doesn't stop the drinking, and that's why his family basically abandoned him, and he can't get a real job because he's not a legal citizen, and he's been kicked out of multiple places that he's lived because of the drinking. And I will tell that story one of these upcoming days on the Sober Happy Hour, because it is a sad story of alcoholism and just alcohol dependency that has seen this man's life just go down the tubes. Anyway, his name is Javier. He's not a bad guy, just a little misunderstood. So this has been the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us here today. You can find us at facebook.com/Sober Happy Hour. Follow us on Twitter at Sober Happy Hour. We may have a podcast soon, but if not, then subscribe on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, ring the little bell, and you'll get notified every time that we go live on YouTube like we are right now. Post a comment, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to send us an email with a question, comment, concern, or you want to tell your story on this show, we would love to hear from you. soberhappyhour@gmail.com. But for my, go ahead, Chaz, or Robinson, whoever you are.
I just want to give a shout out to Lynn, Jen, and Ha, my three daughters in Southeast Asia.
A shout out to you. Thank you so much. If you're listening, thank you, and thank you, and thank you. And for Chaz and Robinson, I am your host. This has been the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. And if you or yours is considering getting sober, I highly recommend it. Good night.
Good night. Oh, yeah. Good night. Okay.